1944, Paris, Nazi occupation. A 17-year-old boy sits at his desk. He hasn't slept in 48 hours. Coffee cup empty. Eyes bloodshot. Hands shaking from exhaustion. In front of him, 300 blank identity documents. Behind him, 300 Jewish children scheduled for deportation to Auschwitz in 3 days. The boy picks up a small bottle of lactic acid and starts working. Erase the WWII stamp. Apply new ink. Age the paper. Perfect the signature. 1 document every 15 minutes. 300 documents in 72 hours. If he sleeps, children die. So he doesn't sleep. 3 days later, 300 Jewish children board trains out of Paris. New names, new identities, new lives. The Gestapo checks every document. Perfect. Every single one. The children escape. The Nazis never knew. And the 17-year-old boy who saved them? He went back to his cramped bedroom, picked up more blank documents, and kept forging through the night. By the war's end, Adolfo Kaminsky had saved 14,000 lives. Not with weapons, not with combat, with chemistry, with a bottle of lactic acid and absolute refusal to sleep while people needed saving. This is that story. 1943, Nazi-occupied Paris. The Gestapo is hunting Jews. Door-to-door searches, identity checks, deportation orders, entire families disappearing overnight. The system is efficient, brutal, nearly perfect. Every French citizen carries an identity card, government-issued, officially stamped. Jewish cards are marked Juif, 1 stamp, 1 word, death sentence. When the Gestapo sees that stamp, you're arrested, sent to Drancy internment camp, then transported east, to Auschwitz. The French resistance tries to help, hiding families, creating false documents. But the Gestapo's document security is sophisticated. Watermarks, serial numbers, official stamps that change monthly. Professional forgers can create false documents, but it takes weeks. The ink has to dry, the paper has to age, the stamps must be perfect, weeks most families don't have. Then the resistance discovers Adolfo Kaminsky, age 17. Chemistry student, son of Jewish immigrants. Can you remove ink from paper? Theoretically, yes, lactic acid should work. We need 300 identity cards forged in 3 days. 300 in 3 days is impossible. Professional forgers need weeks per document. Then 300 children die. We need someone faster. Adolfo picks up a test tube, pours lactic acid onto a sample document, watches the Juif stamp dissolve. No trace. No damage to the paper. I'll do it. His bedroom becomes a forgery factory that night. 72 hours. 300 documents. No room for error. The clock starts ticking. Professional forgers use mechanical erasers, sandpaper, chemical bleaches, all leave traces, damage the paper, create suspicion. Adolfo uses chemistry. Lactic acid, the same compound in sour milk, dissolves ink without damaging paper fibers. The secret is concentration and temperature. Too strong, the paper dissolves. Too weak, the ink remains. Adolfo tests ratios, 5%, 7%, 10%. Finds the perfect balance, 8% concentration. Applied cold. The Juif stamp disappears, completely. No residue, no discoloration, no trace it was ever there. But removing the stamp is only step 1. New information has to be added. Names, dates, addresses. Adolfo studies real documents, copies the slant, the pressure, the flourishes, learns that tired clerks write differently than fresh ones. That afternoon, documents have smudged stamps because ink pads dry out. Perfect documents look suspicious. Real documents have flaws. So Adolfo adds controlled flaws, slight ink blots, uneven stamp pressure, natural wear patterns, making forgeries look real by making them look imperfect. Then comes aging. New documents look too clean, too crisp. Adolfo uses tea stains for yellowing, sunlight exposure for ink fading, careful creasing for worn corners, even rubs documents with dry soil to create authentic dirt in the natural folds. 1 document takes 15 minutes. If everything goes perfectly, if he doesn't make mistakes, if his hands don't shake from exhaustion. Document number 1. Complete. 299 to go. 70 hours remaining. Every hour he rests is 4 documents not completed, 4 children not saved. Hour 29. 87 documents finished, 213 to go. Adolfo's hands are cramping. His vision blurs from exhaustion, but he can't stop. Then he hears it. Boots. On the stairs. German voices. 2 floors down. Gestapo, open the door. They're raiding the building. If they search his room, they'll find everything. The lactic acid, the blank documents, the completed forgeries, evidence of a forgery operation, execution, immediate. He has 30 seconds, maybe less. Adolfo moves fast. Blank documents into the false bottom drawer, completed forgeries into a hidden panel behind his desk. The lactic acid, he relabels it, textile dye remover, chemistry class project. Test tubes into the chemistry set his school gave him. The boots are on his floor now. Door to door, getting closer. Adolfo sits at his desk, opens a chemistry textbook, forces his hand to stop shaking. 3 doors away, 2 doors away, 1 door away. Knock, knock, knock. Gestapo, open! His mother opens the door. Papers. She hands over identity cards. The Gestapo officer examines them. Not marked WWII. They're safe, for now. Anyone else in the apartment? My son. He's studying. The officer opens Adolfo's door without knocking. Adolfo looks up, pretends surprise. Papers. Adolfo hands over his identity card, forged by himself 3 months ago. The officer examines it under light, checking watermarks, serial numbers, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. The officer looks at Adolfo's desk, at the chemistry setup. What is this? Textile chemistry project, sir. For school. Removing dyes from fabric. Show me. Adolfo picks up the relabeled lactic acid bottle, takes a piece of fabric, applies acid. The dye dissolves. The officer watches. Suspicion, doubt, then acceptance. Continue your studies. The door closes. Boots walk away, down the stairs, out of the building. Gone. Adolfo sits frozen for 30 seconds, then takes a deep breath, pulls out the hidden documents, and goes back to work. 213 documents remaining. 41 hours until deportation, because 213 children are counting on him. Hour 68. 278 documents complete, 22 to go. Adolfo has been awake for 68 hours straight. Coffee doesn't work anymore. His body is running on pure will, but he's made a mistake. Document 279. The ink is bleeding. He applied the lactic acid too warm. The paper fibers weakened. The new ink bled into them. Unusable. He has 1 spare blank. Exactly 1. If he makes another mistake, 1 child doesn't escape. His hands are shaking badly now. Exhaustion tremors. Every stroke of the pen requires concentration. Document 279, second attempt. Lactic acid, cold this time, applied precisely. The WWII stamp dissolves. Clean, new information, steady hand, aging, complete, 21 to go. 4 hours until the family's board trains. Adolfo's vision is fading. His body wants to collapse, but he thinks about the alternative. 22 children boarding trains to Auschwitz, because he slept, because he gave up. No, not acceptable. He stands, walks around the room, splashes cold water on his face, opens the window despite curfew risk, breathes cold night air, then sits back down and keeps working. 3 a.m. 15 documents remaining. 4 a.m. 8 remaining. 5 a.m. 3 remaining. Dawn breaks over Paris. Adolfo finishes document 299. 1 more. His hands are so tired he can barely grip the pen. His eyes so blurred he has to squint. But this is the last one. 1 more child. 1 more life. He applies the lactic acid, watches the stamp dissolve, adds new information, ages the document, checks it against authentic samples. Perfect. 6:14 a.m., 72 hours and 14 minutes after starting. 300 documents. Complete. Then he allows himself to close his eyes, for the first time in 3 days. 4 hours later, the resistance delivers the documents to 300 families. They arrive at the train station, trembling, terrified, holding the papers a 17-year-old created in his bedroom. The Gestapo checks every document, one by one, under light, examining stamps, checking serial numbers, looking for forgeries, looking for mistakes, looking for reasons to arrest. He finds none. Perfect. Every single one. Approved. Next. 300 families, 300 children, all approved, all boarding trains, all escaping. The Gestapo never knew. The documents were flawless, and 300 children who were scheduled to die that morning lived instead. Because a teenage boy refused to sleep. The resistance didn't let him rest. We need 200 more, by Friday. Document after document, week after week, month after month. Adolfo forged birth certificates for hidden children, marriage licenses for mixed couples, military discharge papers for deserters, travel permits for escape routes, every document perfect under Gestapo inspection, every document a life saved. By war's end, Adolfo Kaminsky had forged documents for 14,000 people. Most never knew his name. Most never knew a 17-year-old saved them. They just knew their papers worked. The Gestapo never caught them. And they lived. The war ends. The Gestapo is gone. The deportations stop. Adolfo Kaminsky returns to normal life. He never talks about the forgeries, never mentions the 14,000 lives, never seeks recognition. To him, it was just chemistry, applied correctly, when it mattered most. For decades, no one knew what he'd done. Then, late in life, he finally told the story. Not for glory, but so people would remember. The 14,000 people he saved had children. Those children had children. Researchers estimate Adolfo Kaminsky's forgeries created hundreds of thousands of descendants. People alive today because a teenager refused to sleep. His techniques revolutionized document forgery worldwide. After World War II, he continued his dangerous work for decades, forging documents for Algerian independence fighters, anti-apartheid activists, political refugees escaping dictatorships, anyone fighting tyranny. Always the same method. Lactic acid, perfect handwriting, controlled flaws. Always the same motivation. Saving lives is worth never sleeping. Adolfo Kaminsky died in 2023 at age 97. His forging career saved an estimated 14,000 lives directly. Hundreds of thousands indirectly. Most never knew his name. But they lived. Because one person with chemistry knowledge made a choice. When others said it was impossible, he said, "I'll try," and saved 14,000 lives.